You're waiting for me?
Yeah, we're good.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Zoom meeting, the DRS Real Estate Club. So this week, I want to thank Nadav for taking over. I mean, not replacing, but taking over for Joe, who has a very, very important soccer game. Um, and we hope that he wins. Goal. Okay. So this meeting, we are discussing two topics. The first topic, open houses, which is something that we touched up on last week. I was discussing that I had my first open house that I was running. Yeah, I had 20 people show up. And we got in an offer that was just under the asking price. And we're also going to be discussing malls. Specifically, Roosevelt Field Mall, which is a Simon Mall. Okay. And we're going to be discussing LOIs, what that means, and what it entails before getting a commercial lease from a mall. Okay. So to start off, open houses. So last week, I had different marketing tactics, which I explained you're able to do, such as print advertising in the newspaper. We talked about door hangers. We discussed social media advertising, door knocking, etc. So for this open house, what I did was I had a sign in front of the house that said for sale. And it was there for about a month or two. So people on that block noticed our names. So about 3 or 4 days before the open house, I discussed with one of our marketing partners, a real estate firm, Katz Katzman Law. We had them go to all of the houses within the first block or two, door hanger, door hanger, door hanger, door hanger, door hanger. So they put out a bunch of door hangers, and supposedly it worked. Someone came up to me at a synagogue and they said, "By the way, I got your door hanger on my door." And I'm like, "Listen, like, I'm so sorry." They're like, "No, like, don't feel bad. It's okay that you put it there." I'm like, "Where was this?" And they said, "Oh, it was right near this and this street." And I said, "It wasn't me." They're like, "What do you mean? It had your face on it." I'm like, "It was Katzman Law. So if you have a problem, take it up with them." They didn't have a problem though. They're actually pretty amused. They're like, "How do you get to all of these places?" Um, so that was pretty funny. They appreciated it. So I had about 20 people show up. It started at 12 o'clock, and the first one to arrive was myself. And I made sure all the lights were on in the house. I made sure to put out, this is very important. We had like these boards that you lift and you put at the corners of different streets that say open house. Sometimes they have balloons attached to it, but these are very important signs because for that day, at that time, anyone driving by may just be like, "Ah, cool. We were looking to buy a home. There's an open house. Let's just show up." And I actually had that about 20 minutes before the open house started. A young married couple drove by and said, "Oh, can we come check out the open house?" I'm like, "Listen, you know, can you come back in 20 minutes?" I may have actually lost that lead because they didn't come back. But I really just wasn't prepared to show it to them because I still had to set up. At the open house itself, I had two type of signs that were like step and repeat. They're like these big metal boards that went up, and it showed off Katzman Law and Contour Mortgage. So I had a real estate attorney that was there who was networking and answering anyone's questions, who is one of my marketing partners. And I had a mortgage loan officer, someone who originates loans for people and sees if they're pre-approved for a mortgage, which is a key component in obtaining a mortgage for a home. So my good buddy Yair was there and even got a lead out of the open house. Someone came up to him and said, I haven't filed for taxes yet. I'm an actuary. I live in Far Rockaway. What's your number? So he asked for Yair's number, and they've still been in touch. So that's pretty cool. And the real estate attorney networked with one of our networks, a commercial real estate attorney, and now she actually sent him over a commercial real estate lease to look over for one of their lawyers that really just couldn't handle that work at this time. So it was a pretty good network that I did over there. So had a good amount of people for a first open house. I was told, don't be shocked if not even one person shows up. I had 20 people show up. So push comes to shove, you do good marketing, you have a good home for sale, people will come. So now let's talk about the cookies. How many of you like cookies? Okay. So here's what happened. This is very funny. So all of you who are listening to a funny YouTube video, pause it because this is going to make your night. I get there about 45 minutes early. It's 11:15. I'm opening up the lights and I say, you know what? I want this house to smell like fresh cookies. I want it to smell delicious. I don't want people leaving this home. So what I did was I bought frozen cookies from Kinneret. That's the name of the brand. I got the Pam spray. I got a disposable tray that it goes in. I go to the oven. I open up the oven, preheat to 350. 10 minutes go by. Put my hand in. I'm like, okay, it's getting warm. 15 minutes goes by. Is it supposed to still be this warm? Another 20 minutes goes by. I'm like, I gotta put in the cookies. I put in the cookies. 10 minutes goes by. I open it up. I'm like, smells okay, but my cookies are melting. They're not baking. We have a problem. What's going on here? I call up every single person I know. I call up my grandmother, my sister. I call up the real estate attorney who's like a few years older than me. And I'm like, hey, do you know about baking? She's like, yeah, I know a little bit about baking. And I said, when you get a new oven, does it sometimes take, I don't know, time to break it in? Like, or should it work right away? And she's like, when you preheat an oven, it should take 15 minutes. I said, so I've been on preheat for about 45 minutes and it's still just warm. I call up my boss. I'm like, hey, Mark, I'm at the open house. Hopefully you're coming soon. So, I think there's a problem with the oven because, the cookies have been in for like 45 minutes and they're just warm. And he's like, oh, MJ, I forgot to tell you. I never put in the gas line. So it wasn't connected to the gas, so it would never cook. It would never bake. I could have been there for 7 hours and I would have had melted cookies. So that was really embarrassing and funny because I had people at the open house come over to me and say, oh, when are the cookies going to be ready? And I said, in a few hours. So that was pretty funny. Towards the end of the open house, I had families, I had children, I had kids come by from next door, run in, grab a few of my pens. So I had different promotional items out. I had the MLS sheets. We discussed what MLS is, multiple listing service, where you have agents that put up their listings on there. So I printed many of those copies, about 15 to 20 of those copies. I put my business card attached to it. I put my broker's card attached to it. So people were leaving with these, so they can see the details of the house, how much it costs. the taxes and bring it home with them. After I locked up, I shut the lights. I left maybe 5 or 10 minutes early, which, by the way, I'm never going to do again. People sometimes come at the last minute. I left the property. I started driving away. I have a car speed up behind me, honk me, like flashing me, like stop, stop, wait, 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 wait. I'm like, what? They're like, could you please show that house to us? And I'm like, okay. So like I just locked up everything, shut off all the lights, and I'm pretty much done. But customer's always right. I went back, opened up all the lights, opened up the doors. This guy came, and he was a broker and came with his potential customer. They're the ones who put in the offer. Whoa. So push comes to shove, always show up, always stay till the end. We know that Joe right now is playing a soccer game. You think he's going to leave 5 minutes early? No way. Because he's the top scorer. He's going to score all those goals at the end. You know it. Right, Nadav? Yeah. So before I start with malls, which is a fascinating topic, super duper cool, what questions do you have so I can quickly eat my pizza?
How far in advance did you have to schedule the open house for so many people or however many people will show up and see, I guess, the ad?
Nadav, I think there's something with your microphone.
Um,
So maybe take out your earbuds and ask again because it's static.
how how far in advance did you have to schedule the open house for the people to show up? For a lot of people to show up.
Nadav, you're still
Uh,
staticky. So if you can you write your question in the
yeah.
chat and I'll repeat your question out loud. And by the way, this pizza is the eggplant slice from BOGO next door to me. Highly recommend them.
I have a question. My question is, I don't know if you can hear me, but my question is, how long do houses usually stay on the market during these types of
So
markets?
just to just to reiterate Nadav's question, how far in advance do you have to plan the open house? That's a great question. So there is no time that you need to plan it, like legally. You can plan it whenever you want. But generally, 1 to max 2 weeks before is when you plan it because you want to put it into the newspaper. So the week of, let's just say ads go into the newspaper on Monday or Tuesday. You send it out to the newspaper team, and then they print it out, and Friday they distribute. Sunday you have your open house. So you wanted to get seen at least once in the newspaper. Okay. And on MLS, when you put in open house in your MLS description, you want to also give it about a week. And once you do that and you update that into MLS, it's going to go onto Zillow, on Realtor.com, and all of those websites that under open house. Oh, what open houses are today? This open house on 17 Williams Court in Far Rockaway is today between 12 and 2. So you want to do it about a week before. What other questions do you guys have? I'm all yours. Okay, we have another question from Mark Burchin. Did I say that right? Burchin? How long does a house stay on the market during with today's mortgage rates? Who trained you, man? Who told you these terms? You know way too much. Way too much. Okay. So how long does a house stay on the market during, like with today's mortgage rates? Great question. If the house is priced at the right price point, we discussed in earlier sessions about the comps, the comparative, market, um, like the prices that people are charging, what the market analysis is. So if you have that home, which is valued at 600,000 and you're asking 750, it's probably going to stay on the market for a little bit. If you're asking 620 and you did a little bit of renovation inside, or 630 and the market's charging 600, it should go pretty fast. And the mortgage rates were actually dropping. At the end of last year, it was at 7%. Now it's at 6%. And there's also FHA loans that's now only 3.5% down instead of, people are putting 10 or 20% down. So those are also options. I'm seeing more FHA loans. Are there buyers giving offers at open houses? Whoa! From Sviki Rosner. I have never seen that before. I did see a broker. She was on FaceTime like this. Hi, customer. Look, I'm in the kitchen. This is the bedroom. Here's the garage. You see the garage? And she's like talking to her phone at the open house. It was super silly, but that's a very aggressive broker who's going to try her best or his best to find something for their customer. They will FaceTime you. You're not able to show up? Great. I will show up and give you a live FaceTime. To give an offer at an open house would mean I'm pre-approved for a mortgage. I have those papers on me. I have a real estate attorney representing me who can write everything up and in the negotiations. And I have my seller there who could even approve it, or the seller's attorney who could receive everything. I mean, you can send me the offer, being the realtor who is representing the seller, but I still need to get it to him and get it to his attorney, and then they have to review it. So you could give an offer, but there's so much review that's needed to be done, and you need to have people there with you in order to submit that offer. You can give a verbal offer, like, hey, would you accept $600,000 for the house? I'd be like, sure. Where's your pre-approval? Where's your this and this and this and this? You can say whatever you want verbally, but that's not a binding agreement. And an offer is only accepted once it's fully executed. Okay, what other questions do you guys have before we go on to? Okay, so I'm assuming that's it. We're good for questions. So, malls. As you know, from the first Zoom meeting we had, I had experience being a tenant in some select malls in Canada and negotiating my short-term rentals that I had with them. And I was given several leases. They're very complex documents. They should always be reviewed by a commercial real estate attorney. Signing a commercial lease is basically signing your death waiver. They own you when you sign that. Sometimes they ask for a personal guarantee. So what I have in front of me are two LOIs from Simon Mall, Roosevelt Field Mall. By a show of hands, how many of you have heard of Roosevelt Field Mall? Okay, good. I'm glad none of you live under a rock. So, do any of you know what an LOI is? Wait, before I ask that, I want to answer another question. Sorry, we're going to backtrack. Mark Burchin had another question. What's the average age of the home buyers these days? I don't see any in their 20s, really, but probably from 28 to 35 for first-time home buyers. Was your question home buyers in general or first-time home buyers? Because you could have home buyers who are 60. So the average, I'd say, is probably 30 to 35 for first times. Okay, now back to LOI. So I'm going to ask in the chat, and you better not look up on Google, what is a LOI? Whoever gets it right without cheating will get one free slice of pizza at BOGO. You have about 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6 to start typing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Loss on investment. Okay, an LOI, that was a really good guess, Nadav. You do not get a slice of pizza, but you made me laugh, and that's worth everything to me. So an LOI is a letter of intent. So a letter of intent is a document that you use before you proceed with another action. So I want a letter of intention before I proceed with giving you a lease. Okay. So these are two separate LOIs with two backs also. So can any of you guess what type of business I have for Roosevelt Field Mall to accept? I have a customer that my boss gave me. He said, here's a customer. I helped her mom many years ago. She was going through a foreclosure, yada, yada. She reached back out to me. She has a business and see what you can do to help her, speak to her. And I spoke to her and I asked her, okay, how many square feet do you have? How many square feet do you want? She said, I want 5,000 square feet. And I said, okay, so you want a lease? She says, I want a lease and my budget's X amount. I'm like, okay. Are you also open to purchasing buildings? She said, yes, I'm open to that. No more than $1.5 million. I'm like, okay. So I searched the whole area, Rockville Center, Lynbrook, all over Long Island. I wasn't really finding anything that I felt would be a good fit for her. So before I tell you what we did with the mall, because I said, how do you feel about getting into mall locations? And she's like, wonderful. I have to get into the mall. Foot traffic. I'm like, great. What kind of business do you think she has? She wants 5,000 square feet. Is she a restaurant? Is she retail? Is she a doctor's office? So to answer my own question, generally in retail, that's what you're going to study. Yeah, Mark Burchin, my guy. Retail is the correct answer. She is in the furniture business, high-end furniture. And she has a store in Texas, and she has another location in Miami, Florida. So what she wanted was to get into Roosevelt Field Mall. Not only did she really want to get into Roosevelt Field Mall, she really, really, really wanted to get into Roosevelt Field Mall. Here's how you know. I called up, ring, ring, ring. Hi, Green Acres Mall. How you doing? It's MJ from Weiser Realty Group. Do you have any space available? I have a customer. They're in the furniture business. Need about 5,000 square feet. What do you have? We don't currently have anything available. Next. Hi, is this Kings Plaza Mall in Brooklyn? Yeah. You should speak to Dustin. I just spoke to Dustin with Green Acres Mall. Yeah, same guy. He also runs this mall. Click. Hey, Dustin. Hey, MJ. Long time no speak. What's doing? I said, I didn't know you run King Plaza Mall. Is there any other mall that you happen to run? He's like, no, just King Plaza in Green Acres. Okay, do you have any space available for my customer? No, we don't have anything available, man. Click. Next, I'm like, okay, I have two more malls I can think of. Number one is American Dream Mall, which is out of New York State, so it may be a little confusing how our brokerage here in New York, Weiss Realty Group, would get compensated. It'd be very interesting how that would happen. But there's Roosevelt Field Mall. So I call up Roosevelt, hey, how you doing? I speak to the VP of leasing. He says, we have 5,020 square feet available, and we have another furniture company interested in the space, so we think it's a good fit. Tells me exactly where it is. If you guys check it out, don't you be asking for a letter of intent, okay? Because I want this space. You can't have it. So on the level with Nordstrom near, I believe, Lazy Boy, there's 5,000 square feet. There's a women's clothing store that's there. The potential customer showed up that day and says, MJ, I'm standing right in front of the store. And I'm like, what? So I'm standing right in front of the store. There's a women's clothing store inside. I thought it was available. I'm like, let me call the VP of leasing. Hello, Mr. VP of leasing. My customer came to the mall today to check out the space. She says that it's currently occupied. Oh, MJ. Yeah, we have a pop-up shop that's there right now. So the term pop-up shop means a temporary shop that's there for the time being, whether that's a day, a week, or even a month. They can get kicked out at any time if there's a longer-term potential customer coming in. There's a longer-term tenant. She's considered a longer-term tenant. So in front of me, I have a 5-year, and I have a 3-year. The prices are going to rock your world. For a 5-year lease, 5,020 square feet. Year one. Could someone give me a drum roll, please? That's what I'm talking about, Nadav. Year one, $62.75 per square foot, which is equal to $315,005 a year. That's more than $250,000. Whoa, that's expensive. Okay. With 3% annual increases every January 1st, which means you think this is what it's going to be. It's going to be this, and then it's going to be this. It's just only going to go up. Okay. What's unique about this is malls do not pay a brokerage fee. Generally, the landlord in commercial real estate will pay the broker for bringing them a tenant. In this case, I said to the tenant, are you able to pay us? We would charge 7% the first year and then 3% every additional year. That's how much the brokerage would charge. And she says, I can't afford that. I can't pay for the mall and pay for you. So I went back to the mall and I said, listen, someone needs to pay us. So they said, okay, for a 5-year lease, we're going to pay you a flat rate of $35,000. I thought, that's pretty good, you know? It's better than getting nothing. I mean, $35,000, that's a lot of snacks in the DRS snack machine. But it's not a crazy amount for the type of customer that we're bringing them. They're probably going to get up to $1 million or $1.5 million in those 5 years, which is a significant amount. 35,000 really isn't that much if you think about it. What was most important to me was the fact that I have an LOI that says Roosevelt Field Mall, a Simon Mall on it, with the letterhead, and says that they're willing to pay us a brokerage fee. To all of you listening, if a mall is willing to pay a broker fee when they generally do not, that means that malls are hurting. And in addition to that, any mall that I call up in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, and I call them up and say, hey, Staten Island Mall, hey, Westchester Mall, hey, this mall, I have a potential customer for you. What is your brokerage fee? And they respond, oh, we don't pay brokers. My response is, you don't? But the Simon Mall offered us a brokerage fee. Click. So by having these papers in front of me, I now have a major tool for our brokerage to now go into malls and bring them customers and get compensated in return from the mall, which I think is desperate times call for desperate measures, and we have a new avenue here in the brokerage, which was very exciting. When I was discussing it in the office, everyone was listening in. No one really understood these terms except for me and the commercial real estate attorney that we have here, because they've never tried to get a customer into the mall. They don't really know malls like I do, because I was a tenant inside of a mall. Okay, so now we have a few minutes left. Now we have the 3-year lease. The 3-year lease, $40.76 a square foot, $204,615 annually. It's a lot cheaper. It's about $17,000 a month to be in the mall. And the customer's budget's about 16, and Roosevelt Field Mall gets 20 million people a year. That's how much foot traffic they get, which you guys could understand. That makes sense that they have that many people go in there. So there's very unique things. The brokerage fee on this, only $10,000. So it's a significantly less number, but we're trying to negotiate that now and see if we can get at least 1 month rent. Because in rentals, no matter what we do, our minimum fee is 1 month rent. We are not going to take anything less than that. So there's certain, certain things in LOI, delivery of premises. It's in as in condition. The tenant work, cosmetic upgrade to space. So there are a lot of paint the walls, but they can't do any serious construction. This is actually pretty interesting. There's something called a percentage rent, also known as a percentage lease. So the percentage rent is 12% over $1.7 million with 3% annual increase, which basically means because they're giving such a discount, being in a mall should cost over $100 a square foot. They're offering it for $40 a square foot. That is a steal, my friends. That's a steal of a deal. But in return, they are going to take a percentage of my customer's sales, which means she needs to share her books, how much money she makes with the mall on a monthly basis, so they can see how much she's making and take some of that money to help cover the low rent that they offered her. Any questions before we go? We got another 30 seconds. Bring it on. Okay, save your questions for next time. Thank you all for joining. Have a fantastic week. And Nadav, thank you again for taking over for Joe. He's irreplaceable, but you did a good job.